Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It is Tuesday, September 12th, and joining us live today is Mark Talercio, the best executive producer in the world, and me, Jill Schlesinger, the second best host on this program. We are here to take the mystery out of your financial life. And Mark, how are you doing today?
Doing well. It's hard to believe we are rolling into mid-September already.
Amazing is right. Coming up before we even know it, we have my next vacation and then the holidays. It's sort of like, because we are always recording in advance, especially because of vacations and stuff, I get so confused about dates. I really do. I'm a little bit off on that. But all that being said, it is like a little bit of a back to school thing. Oh, by the way, Mark, did you know that it is Life Insurance Awareness Month? I have a couple of stats for you on this that is always interesting. This is from the folks that are at Life Happens, right? That's right, lifehappens.org. I think that's an insurance industry conglomerate. But anyway, I always like it because, life insurance is like one of those annoying topics that everybody hates to deal with, but it's so important. Here's its stat. Industry research shows after the death of a primary wage earner, 10% of people would feel the financial strain within a week. And 44% would feel consequences within 6 months. So a whole bunch of people don't buy insurance, or they buy it. They're like, oh, I have it through work, but it's not enough. So, Mark, it's so emotional. One of the things that's good about dealing with your life insurance and your estate planning is that once you deal with it, you just kind of put it back up on the shelf. You don't have to think about it. So let's try to get you into Life Insurance Awareness Month. If you've got a life insurance question, give us a holler. It's just going to jillonmoney.com and clicking the Contact Us button that will get you on the air with us. You can also see that under the resources section, we have a link to that very helpful resource that is how much insurance do I need? And so if you go into the resources section, we have Life Insurance Calculator, and it'll take you to that lifehappens.org website. And there's a needs calculator that's right there. Now, I mean, look, there's a zillion companies that have this. And again, for the vast majority of people, all you need is term life insurance. That's it. Easy to buy, easy to come by, really not, shouldn't be a big thing. This is something that should just be like, almost like, you sign up for your 401k, you get your life insurance. Like it's that kind of, it should be by rote. So I would really encourage people, if you have not checked out your needs lately, or if you have old life insurance, or if you think you need an upgrade, or maybe you don't even need it at all anymore, give us a holler, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, or just go to the resources section and check that out. While you're on the website, don't forget to subscribe to our service. It's called Jill on Money Live. Our next quarterly live webinar is tomorrow night. Oh my God. Fingers crossed that there's no breaking news, but Nate Burleson is supposed to join us. He's the co-anchor of CBS Mornings. He is the studio analyst for the CBS Network NFL Today show. And we're going to talk about football and money, and we're going to talk about professional athletes and why they blow all their money and what happens and how he managed to be very normal about money, even though he was a professional athlete himself. It must take a very specific kind of personality to be able to manage all of that wealth at a young age. But anyway, we're going to talk all about that with Nate. So check that out. You will join us if you are a subscriber to the service, Jill on Money Live. So check it out. Okay, right now, let's get to one of you. Are you ready to go, Mark? You ready to be focused and get ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, today we're talking to Chris, who's on the line from North Carolina. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Doing great. What can we do for you?
So this is kind of an odd question, I suppose, and it's a good segue from your life insurance conversation. My father passed 2.5 years ago. I'm an only child, and he did not have life insurance, but he did leave me some money behind. I know that there's only a handful of states that have inheritance tax, and unfortunately, he lived in one of those states. During my settling of his estate, I was told that if I were on his checking account, only half of the balance would have been taxed for inheritance tax, plus I would have had access to those funds to help with final expenses and all the preparation that goes with that.
Mhm.
So my question then is, I currently live in a state that does not have an inheritance tax, to my knowledge, but I do have young children, and I know final expenses can be expensive.
Mhm.
Speaking firsthand, is it a terrible idea to, unbeknownst to my children, put them on a checking account now so that when my time comes, they should have access to some money to help tend to final expenses?
Okay. First of all, a couple of different. Mark, are you laughing? Who's Mark? I was
Thinking way ahead.
right. Chris. Chris, how old are you?
I'm 41,
How old are the kids?
7 and 5.
Are you married?
Yes,
Okay. How old is your spouse?
39.
Have you done estate planning yet for the two of you?
Yes.
Okay. And so just there's like, let me just make this is sort of general interest for everybody. There is something different between a inherit, like, because I feel like we've just kind of mashed up a couple of different issues. An inheritance tax, right, or an estate tax is different than some of the issues of like having access to accounts quickly and what that happens. Okay, so I know the state that your father died because you put it in your email. So in that case, there are certain states where there is, a percentage of tax that is levied on an estate over a certain amount. Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, just so I know, in your case, in the state where your dad died, is there an exemption to the amount that is taxed or not?
My attorney did not tell me about any exemption.
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think it's so. I'm reading on the state website that it's just a certain percent of a transfer tax to direct descendants and lineal heirs. That would be you. In this case, that's just a tax that's due, right? No matter what. Even if you were on the account itself, the tax would be owed. The difference is, did you have to front the money to pay some expenses and then get reimbursed? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
had to, he had a plot, but all of the services other than, the burial plot was out of pocket.
Okay. And so one of the things that is could have been helpful would be sure you would be on that account with him, or it would be a transfer on death account. So there are some financial institutions that will allow you to almost like name a beneficiary of an asset that doesn't pass by contract, like a bank account. Okay. Now there was nothing you could have done in terms of preventing an estate tax. If you die in the wrong state and you have a certain amount of money, there was no way to avoid it. Was this sudden or not?
No, it wasn't sudden. We knew for about a decade.
I mean, the difference, I guess the best thing that could have happened would be, since you were the only child, right, that he could have gifted you the money in the bank account, or you could have made a gift, as he got older. But barring that, this is not the worst thing in the world. You got reimbursed. There was no one else. There was no fight. It was just like, it was probably a little bit of a crunch on you. But let's talk about you and your wife right now. You're young, 39 and 41. You've got young kids. So no, you wouldn't put them on the account yet. Tell me about the assets you have right now in your names.
Sure. We currently have a savings emergency fund of about 25,000.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 401k, roughly 118, with 48,000 of that in Roth.
Okay.
I'm fortunate to have a defined benefit pension, which currently has a balance of 98,500. I have a Roth IRA of about 36.
Okay.
High yield. I'm sorry, a HSA of about 21, and a brokerage of 166.
And does your wife also work?
She does.
Okay. She have some chunk of money saved in her retirement accounts as well?
She will have a state pension, and she is putting away, I believe, roughly $6,000 a year into a 403b. But it's more of a, I should do it, but I have my pension, so.
Right. And what about 529 accounts for the kids?
Yes, each one has a 529. That was my father's one of his wishes is to help them with college. So my oldest has 74 360, and my youngest has 7,400.
74,000 and 7,400. Is that, did I hear that right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
So I guess-
74,000 and 70,000.
And 70,000, because you said 7,400. And I was like, oh,
Sorry.
that's not nice. My poor 5-year-old, my 5-year-old can't go to college, but we will have a Starbucks fund.
He's already getting the
okay.
hand-me-downs the way it is.
Exactly right. Listen, I think this is one of those weird situations where if your father had maybe had a little bit more planning, we could have avoided some of the cash crunch for you guys. Okay. But nothing terrible happened. You weren't going to move him just to avoid 4 or 5% tax. What would you say Dad's net worth was when he died?
About 500,000.
So essentially from that money, right, you funded a bunch of the 529. Is that where the brokerage money is? Like what's the remainder of what like that money went towards?
Yes. So we funded the 529s, 99% of it from the inheritance. The brokerage is from the inheritance. This year, basically tried to forecast what my tax bracket would be and liquidated the inherited IRA just because it wouldn't bump me up into the next tax bracket. So,
oh, good. That's easy. So how much is in the brokerage total now?
166.
Okay. So let's just think about this right now. I don't think you have to worry about your kids being on your accounts, but if you're looking at your planning, one thing to do, and I know this because I am literally I just closed out one estate. I'm in the middle of finishing up. I should sort of say maybe let's say I'm in the sixth inning of another estate. I think what I've learned in the process is that the more that you can get things automatically transferred by doing a little work up front, the better it would be. So you guys have done your estate planning. You leave everything to each other. But one thing that's important is that when the kids are the age of majority, that, you start rethinking some of your estate planning. Because right now, if something happened to you and your wife together, you've named someone to be the guardian of your kids, right?
Yes.
God forbid that happens. That's all documented. They'll have your assets to help raise your kids. The other part of this will be that as they get older, you'll want to make changes to your own plans. You may say, well, for the unlikely event that my wife and I die together, then we would transfer our non-retirement assets on death to our children. And that you can make those kinds of changes ahead of time. But that said, for people who have single, surviving parents, I do think taking a look at this situation, maybe, 5 years ago with your dad might have indicated to you that you should do something. Did you think, if you had said something to your father 5 years ago, would he have been amenable to doing something or not?
Yes. So this is my own fault. He asked me to research inheritance tax, information, and I couldn't find anything at the time. But to my own dismay, I also didn't give it my all. So,
you know what? I'm going to let you come on. All right. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. Really, it's already, thank God. First of all, he had assets. So, if the worst case was that, 20 grand went to the state, that sucks, but whatever. You know what I mean? By the way, if inheritance tax is paid within 3 months of the decedent's death, you get a discount.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that. That is hysterical.
Yes.
It's we'll take your money right now. That's how much we desperately need your money. The only other thing that he could have done was to start writing gift checks, meaning he could have during his life said, well, I have so much money here. Let me gift you X, $17,000 a year to you, to your wife, and then put $17,000 a year into your kids' 529 accounts. Could have pushed down his total asset base. And if that's something that your older relative is amenable to, it's a good way to reduce the amount of money that would be taxed in this particular situation. But most people are not in this situation. And again, you got plenty of money. What are you going to do with all this money that you've now inherited? You put the money in the 529. Do you have a house?
We do. Yes.
How much is it worth?
$550,
And what's the mortgage that's outstanding?
roughly 300,
What's the interest rate on that mortgage?
3.5.
No plans to move. You're happy where you are?
We put in a pool this summer, so yes, we are not moving anywhere.
I like the idea, like, well, we put in a pool, so obviously we're not moving. You're in great shape. You paid a little extra tax. Don't worry about the kids just yet. And I think you're in good shape. I do. I don't think there's anything here it's just that you're freaked out because of the situation, the particulars of the situation that you just went through. But you're in good shape, man. You really are. Do you guys have your own life insurance?
We do. So I don't think this would apply to us, this specific scenario, but I was just should I have done anything different? Hop in my time machine.
I don't think so. I mean, like, the only thing you would have done would be to have him start actively gifting. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. There's nothing else really that I would have thought that, you should have done. I don't think so. I mean, it is what it is. Is there anything else we can help you with?
No, thank you. You've been wonderful.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing this story. It's really is important. It's such a weird thing. It's like, I know you don't want to actually go back in time, but you're sort of like, did I screw something up? So what? You didn't screw up anything that you're very proud. Tell your father in your conversations with him, in your after death conversations, you were a very good state citizen. We paid the tax that was due. And that's it. And move on. Let it go. Let it go and don't do anything else. If you, like Chris, have a question about estate planning, taxes, state death taxes, state transfer taxes, anything like that, give us a holler. Just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact us button, and we'll get your note. If you want to come on the air live, don't forget to check that little box, because then we'll make sure we get you on the air. Don't forget also on the website, plenty of stuff there, all the resources. We've got other podcasts. We have the blog, so do check it out. Okay, Mark Talercio is the co-host and executive producer, and also the Web King. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen, and put your hands metaphorically on someone's back. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you on Thursday.